Today turns out to be the day that the President of the United States is celebrating his 100th day. That was my radio voice, by the way. I just wanted to use it once, you know. So, so Nick Gibbs, have you been thinking at all about the 100 days of Trumpian rule?
Well, it's kind of hard not to when literally every post, everything today has been all about that. So, but no, I haven't really given it much thought. I'm more interested in just the future more so than the past.
Okay, so therefore, when I put up the 100 things that Trump has already accomplished in 100 days, you would have been less interested in that than my next post, where I gave the 9 things that I thought would be the highest on his priority list going forward.
Yes,
All
exactly.
right. So what about you? What's high on your priority list into the next 100 days?
Trump related or just in general?
Yeah, let's go Trump related just for fun, since it is the 100th day.
So Trump related will be to see what the next escalation is. I think there's like one more escalation with tariffs to come, one more shoe to drop. I think the same thing with the Russia Ukraine. So it'll be interesting to see how that fizzles out. Um, Nothing like what we've seen, I don't think, but I think there's gonna be a little more drama
A little more.
before everything comes to resolution.
I think he's promising 4 years of drama, but that's okay. All right.
No, I actually don't think we'll have 4 years of drama. I think after we get this big beautiful bills done, I think before the end of the year that will be done. Ukraine, Russia will be done. Tariffs will be done, and I think the economy will be in a pretty good place in general. But yeah, so I think right now it's just mainly to see how these next pieces go on. It seems like Navarro's been put on ice. Not saying he's not doing anything, but I think he's been told you're not speaking anymore. And it seems like Besant's the one who's controlling the speaking, throwing a little Lutnick in there, but they're definitely tightening on the reins on who's speaking.
Yeah, I think they're a little more control of the message, even though the message is always out of control, but it's not, it was a little too much out of control, I suppose.
I think it's on purpose, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Besant even says it. He goes on every day and says, yeah, this is the art of the deal. Throw him off. You got to throw him off kilter. We're not going to negotiate this on television.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well
All right.
said.
So speaking of tariffs, let's narrow it down a little bit. So we had a lot of tariff news for the automobile industry today, and GM, I think, went down. Ford went up. Stellantis went up a lot. Well, a lot, like, $3 or something. And Tesla went up and then went down. Went up at the end of the day and then has gone down in the after hours. So it
It's still up, though.
seemed like this would have been really, really good news, 100% for Tesla.
Yeah. Well, okay. So maybe we can just shift right into talking about this. I think that we are running out of steam on Tesla.
Running out of steam.
Yeah, for the stock.
Oh,
This is a very contrarian thought right now, especially in our Tesla world.
especially me.
But yeah, I think we're due for a decent pullback on Tesla. In my opinion, we want that. I don't know when it'll happen. I don't know what level it'll happen to, but it seems like we're sputtering out up here, and I think right now, what I see happening is the market is going up towards the end of April, which is something markets tend to do at the end of a month, is to rally a little bit and then kind of sell off at the beginning of a month. So
You said it go away in May or something?
well, that's another thing, right? That's a seasonal thing, but just in general, like you normally see this kind of volatility. I don't know if it's because option expirations happen or what, but it's just a pattern that I've seen for a long time. But so I do think like end of this week, we'll probably see some red, maybe even next week. I think May is going to be like I know everybody wants and thinks that there should be like this FOMO moment going into June. I kind of don't think that happens. Maybe last week of May, but I kind of think we end up a little stagnant.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So this would be more technical than fundamental then? Or
I mean, nothing about Tesla's fundamental.
well, that's true. All right. But more technical than what do you want to call it? A story. More about the technicals than the personality of the stock.
No, I mean, I think no, I think it will hold. It won't go. Well, I don't know what it'll do, won't do, but I don't think it'll go down to 240, 230, 220 again, like it was a week and a half ago,
Right, right,
because of the story. The story
right,
will support it at these levels, but I don't think that we. I could be wrong. Watch tomorrow, we get into 300s,
right,
but I don't see us going into, let's say, the upper 300s, 400s, unless until the story gets a little more baked. We see the new vehicles.
right.
We have an event for that or whatever. Orders are up, or Robotaxi officially is live in Austin with X amount of cars. I think right now the story is going to hold us up here,
Mm-hmm.
but for that next leg, I don't see it happening until we get the
Yeah.
next chapter in that story.
So, are you thinking then that that it will not move with the market, or do you think because the last couple of weeks, except for yesterday and Friday, it was basically moving. Well, even yesterday, a little bit. Today, it moved different than the market at the end, especially, and then on Friday, it moved much more than the market. But other than that, for the last couple of 3 weeks, it's been moving like with the market. So, is this kind of a you expect the market to sell off a little bit too, and Tesla just to follow it around?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think the whole market's gonna.
Okay.
You can. I mean, look, I'm just speaking. Yeah, you can see volatility's coming down a
Uh-huh.
lot.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Um,
Fix is down.
you, yeah. So volatility's coming down. You're seeing the market have less big up days, less big down days, and we're starting to get into this lull period. You're right. Part of it is the sell in May and go away,
Mhm.
which, by the way, if you had done that with Tesla over like the last 5 years, it would have been a brilliant move.
Really?
Yeah. Um,
Interesting. Interesting.
I mean, if you think about it, like we hit all-time highs, what, in December? And in 2021, it was October after the Hertz announcement. Like, if you just look at these like moments, like it would have been brilliant if you did that. Again, not financial advice, but
Sure.
just
Sure. Sure. Sure.
it's easy to go back and be like, ah, this is interesting. But yeah, I look, we've had a big run. We broke the big down resistance for
Uh-huh.
Tesla, which is great.
Mhm.
Um, and that's not a technical thing. It's just like look at a chart. You
Right.
can just
Right.
see
Right.
the downward. It's broken. So that's good. But I think um, I think the whole market now is kind of in a wait and see.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to have a lot of news over the next 5, 6 days. We've got all kinds of employment news. Next week we've got the Fed. So the economic news so far today, not bad, not terrible. The earnings this afternoon were not real great, but I'm not sure whether these were.
Oh yeah, who reported today?
It wasn't the biggies. It was not even people I follow or care about, but there was a couple of really bad results. People down a lot. I forget who it was. Somebody didn't give any guidance at all, and they jumped all over that as a result.
I
Uh,
wouldn't either. If I could avoid guidance, I would
Guidance
too.
right now, yeah. But some of the tech companies, you would think, it's not going to is it going to impact Microsoft that much? I don't know. Um, so we'll see. But anyway, so there hasn't been any really bad news yet. Now I think we get the GDP tomorrow too.
Oh, do we?
I think so. And they're talking about it coming in at 0.4.
Is that
I'm sorry,
Q1?
negative 0.4. And that's after the correction for the imbalances because of the gold imports or whatever. And maybe some import pull forward.
You're right. We get it tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern.
There you go. And I think without the accounting correction, I think it would be down like 1.8, but with the accounting correction, they have it down 0.4.
Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. This is telling me that the current consensus is for a 0.8% increase.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't trust this.
Yeah. So, well, it's a little difficult. It's a little difficult because there is all this stuff going on with this pull forward on the imports. How much is that really impacting? This morning, the inventory numbers were not really up at all, wholesale or retail. So it didn't look like there was a massive amount of extra importing, but I don't know.
Which is what would have probably saved things a little bit.
Could have, yeah. It means that maybe stuff sold through, in particular cars. People were, the retail side of cars, people were running out, so they might have been reducing the inventory in that regard. I don't know. So
Yeah.
kind of a wild week in that regard.
Wasn't the Atlanta GDP projecting like negative 3.3 or something?
There's 2. I thought it was in the twos. Went from 2.4 to 2.8 negative, I think. 2.4 negative to 2.8 negative. I think those were the numbers.
Let's see.
I think that was reported earlier today.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But again, I think that's unadjusted.
Yeah, let's see. Final Atlanta GDP estimate is negative 2.7 versus negative 2.4 prior. Wow, so even lower.
I was only off by 1/10.
You're right. Okay, so I trust this more. This says that the consensus is negative 0.3.
Okay. Yeah, so that could be, we could see a beat there, but even a negative 0.3, that would be right along kind of what I think both you and I have been talking about. I would be perfectly happy with a flat to slightly negative quarter, and wouldn't be shocked to have another one flat to a little bit negative.
Well, and that's look, if we get anything negative, it's really hard to know. Like before the numbers come out, even if I gave you $1 million and I told you what the number is, I told you that yes, it is negative 0.3 or negative 0.2 or negative 0.4, whatever. If I told you the exact numbers, I give you $1 million,
right?
I don't think you would know how to place a bet,
right?
Because you might think, oh, negative, everyone's going to freak out, so stocks are going to sell, or you might think, oh, a negative GDP number before the Fed meeting, maybe that means that they're going to cut.
Right.
It's
yes, and we have PCE. I think we have PCE tomorrow too.
Is it? I thought
it's either tomorrow or Thursday. I think it's tomorrow. And we have ADP
tomorrow.
ADP. So you got ADP, PCE, GDP, all those 3-letter words tomorrow.
At 8:30. Oh no, sorry. PC will be at 10 a.m. I think.
At 10 a.m. Okay.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
All right. So anyway, other than that, nothing going on tomorrow that could in fact impact the market. And then after the close, I think you've got Apple and one of the other Magnificent Sevens.
I think we report tomorrow.
Who? We? Oh, Amazon. Maybe that's it. Apple and Amazon. Okay, Apple and Amazon. That's probably it. Maybe it's Apple and Amazon.
Let's see. Yeah, this is a huge week.
I know.
Let's see. Tuesday, April 29th. Yep, looks like I think looks like we report tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's say that the Magnificent.
Sorry.
Not you.
Very similar tickers. AZN versus AMZN.
Oh, okay.
That's AstraZeneca.
AstraZeneca. Yes, not Amazon. So who is it? It's Apple and who else?
I don't know.
Because four of the mags.
Okay, yeah, we report on Thursday.
You're putting
Okay,
Thursday. Okay.
that's what I thought. Let's see. Spotify reports tomorrow. Visa. Starbucks. Ooh, that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Um,
So
PayPal.
maybe
GM is going to be on Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Well, their earnings call will be on
Right.
Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Snap. Is that what you're
Well,
thinking? Maybe.
no, it must because I think four of the Magnificent Seven report this week. I thought two of them were tomorrow, but okay, maybe it's.
Oh wait, tomorrow's Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
I was confused. All those I just mentioned were today.
Okay.
All right, tomorrow it's Microsoft and Meta.
Microsoft and Meta tomorrow.
And Qualcomm. Yeah.
Okay, Microsoft and Meta and Qualcomm. Okay, Microsoft and Meta.
Sheesh, guys, I'm getting old over here. Oh, �伊_𝐚𝐬𝐿. That's interesting. Do you know what they do?
No, not offhand.
Yes, they're a huge data center company. So think cloud,
Yeah.
but more so just data center.
Okay.
So like Microsoft or Amazon, they might compete against �伊_𝐚𝐬𝐿. They might use �伊_𝐚𝐬𝐿 data centers.
Right.
But even smaller companies you've never heard of will use �伊_𝐚𝐬𝐿.
Okay. All right. So you got all that happening. Maybe we see, decent, no real shocks from the Mag 4 that are all the 4 of the 7 that are reporting this week. Maybe we have, okay. I don't see anything that suggests that the employment numbers are going to be bad. The PCE is suggested it's going to come in at 2.5 on the core. Year over year, 2.5. A lot of that would give the Fed room to move on next Wednesday, but I don't think they're going to.
I don't either.
The betting market doesn't think they're going to, but the betting market's starting to think they're going to in June.
Yeah, they've been. Last time I saw it was like 57%.
And 57 for June. Yeah.
Yeah. Last time I saw it was a week ago when we were on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like the news about the tariffs should be a positive for the market. Today's news for the car companies.
Maybe. I mean, you saw how it was reflected. I'm telling you, I stick with what I was saying to start this off, Randy, that I think by the end of the week, we're going to see like a little bit of a pullback. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I know nobody ever wants to hear this, but I would like to see that personally, just to be constructive. What I would hate is to see Tesla have this kind of bigger move, which it is a big move. I mean, we literally went from what, 214 on April 7th to where we are now. I mean, that's almost a 50% move.
25%. Yeah.
25?
215.
Oh, it's almost 50. If we're at 214 and we're almost at 300.
214.
That's $100 almost.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we went down fast. I get that, but look.
All right, let's talk kind of technical. Randy Kirk technical. What do you want to call it? People that don't know anything about technical. So we're sitting exactly. The S&P continues to sit exactly on the 10%. All right. So in Randy Kirk's little weird mind, we had the first 10%, which was needed, which was necessary, which the market was looking for any excuse to do anyway. We got that 10% blow off because they started talking tariffs or whatever reason you want to give it. In my opinion, it could have been somebody belched blue. I don't know. And they would have gone down 10%. But the second 10% was the fear and loathing about the chaos around the big tariff numbers. And that one had a V-shaped, almost immediate recovery when it seemed like maybe that wasn't going to be as bad as everybody thought. And We have been right on this 10% now, back at that level. So to me, what that says is that it's got to break one way or the other now. And if it breaks low, I don't think we go all the way back and test the 20%. If it breaks high, it starts going up again, it seems like it's going to run. Does that make any sense at all, or am I completely out of my mind?
I mean, it's no. I mean, like, no one knows what's right or not right.
Right.
We only know after the fact. I think there's a good chance that we, I don't know, reject around kind of these levels. Like, maybe we get the 5,600, maybe on the S&P,
I see.
and then I could see us pulling back.
I see. Okay. I see.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Like, there's nothing saying that we have to pull back. I mean,
right.
I just, in my own opinion, having a good healthy pullback is good, and when you just go up, it's not good. Just like when you just go down, I mean, think about it this way: if you look at the chart right now, you saw the S&P 500 just go down. You saw Tesla just go down. Okay, if you were rooting for the stock to go down, you wouldn't want it to go just straight down. You'd be like, okay, let's come back up a little bit, and then let's keep going back down.
Right.
So it's the same the other way around. It's just for a healthy movement, you don't want it to look like a pyramid. You want it to look like a mountain where you got some jags, because otherwise it's easy to go up. It's just as easy to come back down.
All right, let's switch to some other news about Tesla today. Dan Priestley of Tesla was at the AX Expo event, and he spoke today. And he's, of course, in charge of the entire semi division. And he said that, but by the way, Out of Spec, please, thank you for Out of Spec for taking a video of that. They are saying that we will have, what did I just write down here? Oh, that they're going to have they're going to set up 46 new sites for mega chargers for these semis by the end of 2026. And they showed a map: California, Arizona, Texas, kind of all that southern, stuff down there, that whole southern route, picking up all the various ports from California to Texas, and then over to Georgia, and in the south, some of those, port areas. So a total of 46 sites with 300 posts between them. Some of them in existing truck stops, and some of them their own unique locations. And they also said that and separately we saw that they're hiring 1,000 people right now for the factory to make the semis, and that they have a new battery that is 77.3% more efficient than before, lighter, cheaper to manufacture, and less energy, and made in the United States. So all those things seem really good for the semi, and I think everybody is completely blowing off the massive amount of profit that the semi is going to throw off.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I think it's great and all, but it all pales in comparison to robotaxi and humanoid. And yeah, it'll be great. It's hard for me to get excited about it when we're a month out from robotaxis, maybe 2 months out from robotaxis.
Right.
Probably 2.
So, some people, I don't know, Brian Wang, for instance, thinks that the semi trucks could actually produce more revenue and profits from self-driving than robotaxi.
No, not anytime soon. You know how long it's going to take for them to get enough training data for the semis?
I don't know. California just is approving the ability to go out right now and start putting them on the road.
Yeah, sure, you can approve it, but it's going to take so long. Like
Okay.
it's
Anyway. So let's switch to robotaxi. That is the other big story, of course, right now. And we do have two issues. One of those in the communities splitting between the bullish and the bearish. And that's even folks that are very bullish on Tesla and bullish on robotaxi. Some think it's going to be a very slow rollout, much slower than Kathy or Elon think. And some people think that it's going to be, millions by the end of 2026, as do I and others. So how do you come down on that?
well, what are we? What? Okay, let's ground me here. Or is what we're comparing the 1 million taxis next year that Elon mentioned on the earnings call?
Millions.
Like, okay, I would say that would probably be more in 2027.
Okay. All right.
That's not to say I don't think Tesla will get credit in the stock before that,
Mhm.
but I think just to make 1 million vehicles alone, I don't even know if we have the capacity for that.
No, it would be not a million in the fleet, a million total. That would count Airbnb.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to allow us to put our vehicles in there till maybe at the end of next year, and that will probably get pushed off till the following year.
I see.
And even then, many of those cars have to get retrofitted with new hardware, new cameras. They might say that, our hardware for vehicles need a front bumper camera now in order to be compliant. Like, I think there's a lot more to it.
Okay, so you're gonna take the middle, apparently. Some people are thinking
Yeah,
that it's just gonna take a long time to roll out. That, there'll be, 20 in Austin, and then maybe there'll be 50 in Austin someday. And then maybe we'll start in California, later in the year, and then it'll slowly roll out.
no, that's silly. I think they will probably. I think Austin will be the slowest of scale because it's the first, and then I think they'll probably start doing more cities in Texas. Um, Hopefully more states as well. I hope here in Florida.
Mhm.
California might be a little bit of a laggard, but who knows? Maybe they won't be. Um, and I think that'll all just be new Model Ys, and that's it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then, you know, I think the hardest part will be figuring out how to scale up, having like what's important, what's needed. Because to go from 20 vehicles in your command center to then 100, you're going to learn some new things. You're going to learn new things you didn't know, right? Like there might be congestion patterns you have to deal with, peaks, off peaks, charging rates. Like, I mean, there's, I'm not saying these are hard problems to solve. Like, they're obviously solvable because Ubers do it, Waymos do it, but I imagine it's not a muscle Tesla's flexed yet. So there's gonna be probably some growing pains there. But I think by the end of this year, maybe even let's say first quarter into next year, they'll probably have a good idea on what it takes to scale and how many command centers they need at a state level or at a city level. I think all the urban environments and stuff, that I think that'll be easy. I think they're going to focus on cities because those are going to be the harder problems to solve,
Right.
and that's obviously where you get more of the revenue.
Sure.
But and then yeah, like for 2026, I could see them making 150,000 cyber cabs
Mhm.
in 2026. Like I could just see that also going a little slower than anticipated. Um, yeah, I just I think honestly, once it starts, I really don't care. It's like at least it's live and it's out there,
Right.
and now it's like where's the competition? The only other competition is Waymo,
Right.
and if by the end of the year in Austin we have more vehicles than Waymo does, then okay, we won. Like
Sure.
it's over because now it's like, how do you catch up to us if we're moving faster than you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So like at that point, it's like I don't care.
Right.
I don't care how long it takes at that point.
Right.
As long as we're outstripping the only other competition there is and we're moving faster than them, who cares? Who cares how long it takes at that point? Because no one else can catch up to us.
Right.
So it's irrelevant.
Well, yeah. So it's irrelevant, except, if I'm going to have a show, we have to have these debates.
Yeah. Well, I'm just telling you my point of view.
Yes.
That to me, it doesn't matter if Cassie's right or wrong. It doesn't matter if Elon's right or wrong. It doesn't matter if Randy's right or wrong at that point. What matters is,
It works.
do we start? Let's start there. Do we start
Yeah.
without humans in the vehicle?
Right.
And especially in Austin, do we get to a point where we have more robotaxis than Waymo does?
Mhm.
And
That
can
is
we get
off the
San
rails.
Fran? And can we get more in San Fran than Waymo does?
Mhm, mhm.
Right? Like at that point, once you've shown that you're in the same cities as Waymo, and you have more vehicles, maybe even are more affordable, maybe your time is faster, better experience. It's over. It doesn't matter if it takes the next 10 years to completely saturate the markets versus
Mhm, mhm.
Ubers or someone else. It's irrelevant at that point. Like it's game set match.
Okay. All right. So then my other question, which probably doesn't matter to you either, but I'm still going to ask your opinion, is about the Model Q. Um, uh, the Model Q is supposed to be the great savior of Tesla. Gary Black and others think we need this Model Q because we're just stuck at this current level of sales, and we're not going to get out of this level of sales unless we have a Model Q. And then even people that I really like really think a lot of their opinion are like, yeah, we're still only going to sell 1.8 million cars this year, even with the Model Q. And I'm like, how can that be? If we're going to add the Model Q and it's supposed to unleash this amazing new TAM, then shouldn't we sell more cars as a result of putting the Model Q in? Otherwise, why do it? How do you see that, as the year progresses?
I think it depends on when they start. Um, well, let's start there. When do you think they'll actually unveil it and start production?
Well, they say that it's supposed to be unveiled by the end of the first half, and they confirmed that just last week. So I'm gonna go with that date. The amount of time to switch over the line for the complete redo of the Model 3 was only 5 weeks, and Model Y rather was only 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. So at least in Shanghai, I would think they'd be able to get that baby out there, 4 or 5 weeks after they say that it's ready to go. That's a guess. So let's just say sometime in July
Okay.
they start shipping.
Shipping in July. July, let's say. I think if it starts in July, then it might be fully ramped by the end of the year, is what I would say. So, like, what kind of volumes do you think it'll do? I would.
I keep thinking that this is not a new line. It is completely ready to go line. So I don't know what's going to take so long to ramp. It should ramp as faster, maybe even than the 3 or the Y did. Because the changes that they're making, I think, are going to be really simple changes compared to what they did on the 3 and I don't know, maybe they'll be the same complexity, but either way, I think the Model Y is maybe already up to full production in Shanghai at least, and maybe in LA. I'm not sure, or in California. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think with any new tweak you do on anything, like until you get into volume production, and like who knows, maybe just the one time everything works perfectly because
Right.
to your point, there is as little as possible. There's just always like a little bit of a headache. Yeah, there's always something. Like no matter what, it's even when all I have to do is I don't know, hang a freaking painting on the wall.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's concrete on the other side of this drywall. Now I need a concrete bit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, where's my concrete bit? Oh, I can't find it. Let me go to Home Depot. And so like something, I'm just trying to hang a painting on the wall. Should have taken 2 seconds. It's like just life has a funny way of doing that. So, but I do think what will be more important in that case, Randy, is not even like, I'm going to say I don't care again. I don't even think it matters how many vehicles they can sell this year at that point. what will matter is there now a backlog order the way we used to have with Tesla?
Mhm.
Is there a backlog order now for that vehicle?
Mhm.
Because if that's the case, then that's extremely bullish.
Right. Right.
Like, you remember that when we had this like
Sure. Absolutely. 100%.
6-month back order on Tesla vehicles?
Well, I've been saying, I don't know, for a year that once we have unsupervised, there's going to be a backlog no matter whether there's a Model Q or not. Because I think once we have unsupervised, the word of mouth is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be the best word of mouth that Tesla has had since they started selling cars. because
Yeah.
because you're going to take every friend you know out and drive that thing from the back seat. I mean, everybody is going to take all their friends and family out and get in the back seat and drive that thing around town. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
Well, I think the bigger thing that will happen once we start unsupervised robotaxis is that anybody who uses it and owns a Tesla will be like, huh, I can do this in my car,
Yeah.
and they'll do it.
Yeah.
I think also it could be the impetus for people to go and buy their own Tesla
Yeah.
and be like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I could just do this.
Yeah.
Especially like once they start doing like little things like, and again, I don't think we will see unsupervised. I know what Elon said, but I don't think we will see truly unsupervised until maybe sometime next year,
Mhm, mhm.
which is just fair, right? Like, you want to err on, or, you want to bias towards being cautious.
Mhm.
But once I can take my vehicle out to a restaurant and then just send it back home
Yeah.
and then be like, hey, it's 15 minutes before we're wrapping up. Like, just call my car and I can just see where it's going. And then once I see it's outside, I can go grab it. Like, I think cities are going to change in this respect as well. Like, I think you're going to have like designated parking spots for your own robo taxi, or your vehicle to pick you up. Otherwise everybody's going to be calling their vehicle and there's going to be a line outside of vehicles just sitting there waiting. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that moment, who the hell wouldn't want to buy a Tesla? Who wouldn't opt in for that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just changes everything. I mean, sure, the cars are cool, and you get into one and you already go, this is like a rocket ship or whatever. And then you hit the accelerator and the thing goes like crazy with even, even in the models that don't have the best acceleration, they're still faster than the car you used to have. So all those things are very, very cool. But I think once you have unsupervised, it changes everything
Yeah.
about how people perceive vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there is a point too where it's like, okay, well, why would you even buy a vehicle at that point if you could just have the robo
If
taxi?
you're able to think that, if you think that thoroughly about that future, because most people that I talk to, I haven't asked you, but are you planning to give up your own personal car when robo taxis are plentiful in your city?
The answer is yes and no. May I elaborate?
You may.
So I would still keep my Model Y, for example, because I would be putting it into the network. So ideally, that becomes like a little
Sure.
business,
Yeah. Yep.
I'm never. I don't think. I don't want to say never, but I don't think I'm going to be one of those people that orders like 6 Teslas and tries to create their own fleet. I'm invested in the stock, so I don't have to do that, right? So I don't care about that. But I have this Model Y. I paid for FSD outright, so might as well go let it work for me.
Mhm.
I would be interested in having um a like roadster, like a fun
Oh,
kind of like
uh-huh.
it's a toy. I'd be interested in having a toy.
Okay.
But that would be, I think, as a luxury. I would be more interested in getting rid of my insurance bill,
Mhm.
the added electricity costs I have to pay every month, um, having to wash a car, having to, oh, I got a flat tire, having to go swap that out. Like, I'd be much more interested in getting rid of all those
Headache.
headaches,
Yeah.
inconveniences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if Uber, if I could have like a really good driver Uber, not some like random person that like
Uh-huh.
smells and their AC is not working, whatever. So like imagine like a really nice Uber and it was really affordable. I would probably use that for most of my rides. Like especially if I could like have it scheduled, always pick me up at a
Sure.
certain time.
Sure.
Like why wouldn't I?
Okay.
So
That's
I think the
I,
cybercab takes it to another level because you don't have to deal with another human.
right.
It can be set to your schedule.
Right.
It's just
Yeah. I also have to take into consideration that you're younger. And so you're not as much a part of the auto um, generation, if you will. So the other people that I've asked the question have been older and are more attached to the prestige, the idea of popping in the trunk and showing your friend the motor. That's all the stuff we grew up with. It's kind of almost a part of your personality, the kind of car you drive. So I think maybe those guys were maybe holding on to that car a little harder.
I don't think any of the people you talk to are bigger gearheads than I grew up. So
Not a gearhead. It's not even gearhead. It's a I don't know that today we know that young people, it's younger than you, but the Gen Z people are like, I don't want a car. Who needs a car?
well, there's a point where it doesn't make sense. It makes sense as a toy. It doesn't make sense as a utility.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make sense. So what you're saying, I would agree with.
Mhm.
Like my family, we have 3 Model Ts that I grew up working on.
Yeah.
All right, like
Yeah.
we are like a car household.
Right.
But honestly, they're all toys. They're not for everyday driving.
Right. 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 Right.
So that's where I think we have the juxtaposition, and it there's a certain point where it doesn't make sense. Like I was talking to Farzad about this. I don't know if it was when we were at dinner or on the earnings call. I forget, but I brought the same topic up to him, and he's like, "Well, I would still want to have my own car so that I can keep my stuff in it, whatever." And I said to him, "Oh, okay. So you're going to pay your $300 a month on insurance and have to wash it and charge every day just so you can keep your stuff in it, so you can have a closet on wheels? Makes zero sense." And when I said it to him, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to rethink that." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." Like it doesn't make sense at that point. At
Yeah.
least with toys, you can have what's called garage insurance,
Right.
which
Right.
is like if you barely drive it or just minimally drive it, you can have way more cost-effective insurance.
Right. Right.
With those, when you wash and stuff, that's part of the love of it. You
Right.
get your
Right.
nice waxes, and you sit there and you buff it, and you pay for the very expensive microbeading seal kit. And you do all these things, but that's because that's your toy.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look. Even though we've talked about the economy already, let's go ahead though and take a quick look at the numbers. We did have the NASDAQ. I actually said this morning, I got it right again. I've been a little bit accurate the last few days. Got it yesterday, got it today. I said we'd end in the green. We ended up 0.75 on the Dow. We ended up 0.55 on the NASDAQ, 0.58 on the S&P, and 2.15 up on Tesla. Most of that 2.15 was at the end because, again, I think the tariff news caused the stock to go up there at the end. Now then, what is going to happen tomorrow? We go to the bonds, which are acting nicely for a change. One of the things I was looking at was that we are kind of getting close to being back where we were on February 1st.
We are, yeah. We're literally right at break even.
Right. So we got the bonds back down to 4.15. I'm sorry, 1.6 now as I'm looking at it. So we're very close. I could see us going into the threes, later this week or next week, depending on what happens with all this stuff that's happening the next 3 days. The 2 month is up a little bit actually today, up in pre-market up 1.2, and the 2 year down 0.4. Oil down another 16 cents in the pre-market, very close to going under 50, which is where we were on April Fool's Day. We were just under 50. So we've gone back and forth. What do you think? Natural gas under at $3.38. I mean, that's really a low price.
Yeah, this might have just been my ears, but you said under 60, right? Not 50.
I meant under 60. I don't know if I have no.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if I misheard you. But yeah, this is this is a concerning level for oil. But I think what could save all the fears that I know my former colleagues in the oil industry are worried about would be if in a lot of these trade deals
Oh
it
yes.
is consuming U.S. energy, which would be strategically good for them. You know.
Oh yeah. I know that this is. You can tell if you listen carefully that and agriculture are the two things that the Trump administration is pushing. Look,
Yeah.
if you can't do it any other way, let's get our trade balance a little closer just by you buying our oil and gas, not somebody else's. So yeah, that would be good. Yeah. And of course, it's also good to have it at these prices for inflation. This is going to be good for the Trump legacy. Okay, gold is higher than it was on April 1st, but it's come down a lot from where it got back all the way up to 3,500. Now it's back to 33.26, dropped another $7 so far in the pre-market. What do you think happens next for gold? Is it going to depend on what, again, depend on all this news over the next few days?
Probably, but um, yeah, I don't know because it's hard to know. I feel like gold's been overextended, but at the same time, I don't think gold is moving up necessarily as much because of all the tariff drama, all that. I think gold's really going up because people are buying, and I think people are hedging against the US dollar and the US debt issues. So I think that has more to do with the rally we've seen gold than anything.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Silver
Oh,
down $1, 1.1% in the pre-market, 32.91. It's hanging in there pretty good. And copper still not quite breaking back over $5 again. But again, this is kind of where it was back on April 1st. And then it went over $5 and then came back down. So I think a lot of stuff is kind of moving back where it was. Now the dollar though is down. What do you think? I've been saying for the last few days, I think it needed to come down. I don't think it's a bad thing that it's down. I think it might be a good thing considering what Trump is trying to accomplish that it's down. I wouldn't want it to go down a lot more, but this is probably a good place.
yeah, we have a whole different economic setup. I think a lot of other countries like to have a weak currency. I think for us, it's advantageous to have a strong currency. Um, so I don't know. I think it's fine, but I would over-index on having a stronger dollar.
Okay. Bitcoin has been hanging around the 94 area for several days now. Again, I have no idea why it goes up or goes down, but it had been moving along with the NASDAQ or along with Tesla. It doesn't seem to be so much the last 5 days, seeming more on its own the last 5 days. So no guess for me. What do you think? Anything?
Um, well, I would say that, I mean, like if you want to find like some good news in it, I would say that Bitcoin can tend to be a proxy for Tesla for just in general positive bullish sentiment.
Mhm.
But I'm I still think that we're due for a little bit of a reprieve in markets and across all asset prices. So I don't know.
All
And
right.
I hate saying that because I know people will probably be like, "Oh, Nick's so bearish, whatever." Like he's
Yeah, well,
probably short the market or whatever. But I just like it to be constructive.
there you go. Okay. The equities are flattish, 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 really flat. Um, Not much action. Uh, Dow is down 0.02%. I can't get much flatter than that. S&P down 0.23, and NASDAQ down 0.42%. So very much, I think, no direction on Monday, not a lot of direction on Tuesday. Now the fireworks start tomorrow, but again, the fireworks might be nothing The GDP might be positive. It might, the ADP might come in and say, yeah, 125,000 jobs. What was the other thing? The third thing we got tomorrow? I know oh yeah, the PCE comes in at 2.5. I mean, that would be bullish.
I think tomorrow the only bullish data metric will be 80 or not ADP, will be PCE.
PCE.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know what GDP is going to be, but it seems like everybody thinks it's going to be negative.
Right.
And so I don't care what the negative is. I think negative isn't good for markets.
Right.
And I think EDP or ADP will be low.
Oh, you do?
I do. I think hiring has slowed down a lot. So it's a weird place for the Fed to be in.
Yeah.
Because their whole stance too is like, we don't know what's going to happen with all these tariffs, and all the numbers we see here are from before all this. So we don't know what's going to come through. And honestly, I think they would rather be late than early.
That's apparent. That's apparent. All right, then. Any words of wisdom then before we conclude the Good News Tuesday edition?
Yeah. How about it's this is cliche at this point, but it's better to live in interesting times than in, what is it, dull times, boring times, something like that.
Something like that. Well, I don't think we could live in much. I'm sure there's a way to be more interesting than what we've seen over the last 6 months, but this has been pretty crazy. So and fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm having a heck of a time.
I agree. I agree.
All right. We'll see what happens tomorrow. So much is going to happen, and it'll be super interesting. As always, Nick, glad to have you on board. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.